It's time for Cutting Edge Consciousness with Freeman Michaels and Barnet Bain. Thought-provoking discussions and bold ideas from the edge of possibility.
And welcome back to Cutting Edge Consciousness. Freeman Michaels here with Barnet Bain. Just got done with Congressman Ryan, Tim Ryan from the state of Ohio, though he was in the state of Florida because he's a busy guy running around sharing some pretty incredible viewpoints.
Altering states.
Altering states.
Altered states. Well, that was really a pleasure.
Stillness before votes.
That's great.
How about some stillness?
Before votes, before everything. We spoke before the break about how quickly these ideas are becoming mainstreamed.
Yeah.
You know, now here we have a United States congressman talking about consciousness on the radio and writing a book about consciousness.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. It requires a real choice, a real commitment to be pessimistic in these times. That's a real commitment.
It cuts both ways, Barnett. I mean, it's interesting because, you know, I've never seen an election so contentious as the last election. The intolerance is at a fever pitch. So there's always paradox. They're both true simultaneously.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, the idea that we can see, you know, the dangerous path or the threat of possibility at the same time that we can see this incredible opportunity, and they're running parallel. At the same moment, you can see both ways. And obviously, from our perspective, it's about opening up multitudes of possibilities so that and again, from the mindfulness state of consciousness, all that becomes available. In the reactive mind, it's in or out, black or white. There's no ability to hold dynamic.
It's guarantees.
Yeah.
It's
no dynamic complexity when you're in that state of mind, the unconscious, reactive mind. Yeah.
But I see it as having crossed the point of no return. This is really such a mainstream conversation in the same way that there was a time not very long ago when women did not have the vote.
No,
when
it's
black
true.
people were not free in this country.
Yeah.
When the world was viewed as flat. When
it's an idea that's time has come.
It was only recently that the Vatican absolved Galileo he was excommunicated for having asserted that the Earth moved around the sun and not the other way around.
Yeah.
So, what is popularly understood as the way it is,
right,
continues to evolve and continues to shift and continues to morph. And evolution is not always progress.
Right.
But this is as you say, there is evolution that could be more and more entropic, chaotic dissension. And at the same time, there is an evolution that is moving towards adding more capacity and new gifts and new talents and the discovering of new abilities. And I think, yes, you're right, both are true.
Yep.
But I think that the world is moving and progressing towards more and more empowered states.
Well, we're committed to that. I mean, part of what generates that is a commitment to a vision of the future and not just, you know, moving the furniture around, as you like to say, on the Titanic, not just moving like, oh, we're sinking. Well, let's move the furniture around. We're really vested. We're in the front of the ship at the bow, looking forward towards possibilities, even ones we can't see yet and only have a hint of, because, you know, obviously there's tremendous opportunity. And this is I like his perspective, kind of looking back and looking forward simultaneously, saying, wow, you know, for all the things that we've generated that have created the chaos, there's an opportunity here. But also looking forward, saying, what about new systems yet undiscovered that could blow open an entire paradigm, that could really shift the way human beings view themselves and the world around them.
And his book, A Mindful Nation, is a
vision.
Is a vision,
yeah,
and it is absolutely a treasure chest that is packed full of all of the research and all of the resources and all of the leading edge studies and all of the areas where mindfulness practice is applied and engaged and where it is making a difference in the world. And I would challenge somebody to come away from reading A Mindful Nation without having their sense of what is possible dramatically change.
It's absolutely true. It's interesting, too, because a part of me really wants to be vested in politics. We've talked about this. Personally, I've backed off it because it's so contentious. At least this last maybe couple of elections, few elections, have been that way for me. What I want to get behind is leadership, not power struggles, right?
What does that look like?
Well, it looks like Tim Ryan. I mean, this is a level of personal ownership and leadership where he's standing for something that is, we talk about a vision that when it's a generous offer, people can jump on board. And his offer is so generous. There's nothing about it that feels, like a finger wag. It's just an opening. It's just an opportunity to explore something that could be of value and service. And that's a really beautiful thing. That can get me, I would love to see politics be about leaders representing visions that I can jump behind. What has happened for me is that the leaders, it's not leadership, it's power struggle and it's ideology. So there's this lack of new options. I mean, people say this all the time about politics. I'm voting against, it's the worst of the candidates. It's like, okay, well, this is maybe slightly better, but when was the last time you were excited about a politician and their vision of the future and that it was fresh and new? That's exciting to me.
Well, let me, I want to comment on that a little bit.
Sure.
What it stirs for me are not the limitations of a future and outside of myself, of an extrinsic future. It's not my sense of limitation, the ceiling that I have on vision for country or for civil discourse.
Yeah.
It stirs for me a deep insight. I use it as a mirror.
Yeah.
And it speaks to my own lack of vision for myself and my own lack of vision of what is possible. And when my internal guidance system constantly resets from territory that is familiar to me, then there can be no sense of something, discovery and of something new. And the more fearful that I become, conscious of it or not conscious of it, the more unwilling I am to risk stepping out into the unknown.
Beautifully said.
And politics is a mirror of my own sense of my own tyranny, the tyranny of my own relationship with the past, and of holding on to ways of being fundamentally in control at the expense of the luxury of making mistakes and having it be a little sloppy. I see it as an inside job, and the beauty of mindfulness for me is that it allows me to still all the voices, or to be aware, not to still them, but to be aware of them and to be less identified with them and more relational to them. And finally, it helps me be less reactive to what is going on outside of me, whether it's heavy traffic or the political discourse or what I see as the lack of civility that happens in our media and in our news broadcasts and in amongst our leaders. Mindfulness allows us to lead ourselves to a sense of peace and to become better equipped to deal with the challenges of life. So until I become more effective of dealing with myself, I'm not terribly well served in looking to outside forces and leaders and saviors.
Right. I'm with you 100%. The thing that opens up, in my experience, why Tim Ryan is in my experience today, is a portal of possibilities opened up that he represents. That's it. And I am really aware of how much the us and them, discourse is a mirror that reflects my own inner struggle, my whole.
And Tim Ryan reflects our own inner possibility.
That's what I'm saying. It's a portal of possibility that
Yeah.
he's representing. Otherwise, he wouldn't show up in my experience.
So he's a mirror of some little kind of hole in the Swiss cheese of my own construct of how the world operates and how the world works. And
Absolutely.
so it's a lot more porous now than it was not very long ago.
And I've talked a lot. So again, going back to the leadership, my work, your work, about what does it mean to be a leader in my own life, in my own, with what's showing up. What part of me is making the decisions? Is it a part of me that can hold all these fragmented parts, the little reactive aspects of me, the part of me that's easily triggered and so forth and so on? Can I hold that with a sense of it's okay?
In relationship to what?
Well, in relationship to a vision, in relationship to wanting to generate and create something that is a higher potential. I know if I reorganize the furniture what I'm going to get. I know if I keep tracking back what's going to happen, because it's a replay. It's a repeat of an old story. What you're talking about.
So do people in government, and so do people in industry, and so do people everywhere, I believe, have more or less the same point of view as you and I share. So I don't think it's about having a higher vision, or I think it's about the higher vision is I don't know.
Yeah. That is the higher vision.
It's not I know better.
No, that's right.
It's I don't know, and maybe there are capacities that we can access that will engender innovation and possibility that will fill in the vacuum of I don't know.
That's the messiness.
But it is so, we are as individuals and as a culture so bound up in the control of things. There's so much fear of it becoming undone.
Yeah.
That that makes it very, very difficult to do that. But I want to just repeat this last piece. I don't think it's about so I can have a vision that is better, works better than yours.
No.
But it's about having a sense of responding to the challenges of being alive in relationship with a consciousness that is greater than the one that I'm operating out of.
I'm talking about a vision that's a sense of possibility that is not tied too tightly, because it can't be. I don't know. We call it the sacred I don't know. Inherently, it's messy. And part of this, in my experience, especially in my experience as a man, this idea that failure, the shame involved in failure. Look, you and I have said this many times that, first of all, failure even as a term is probably inaccurate. On the way to the famous line about Edison had to, quote unquote, fail 30 times before he succeeded at creating the light bulb. I mean, we understand that part of innovation is wandering into the dark, into the unknown, and tripping a few times. That's the game. So if we're going to move towards something new and innovative and exciting, yet unknown, it's going to be messy. It's not going to all be tucked in. I don't know is not always easy. But to get there, it takes a level of leadership within our own skin, the observer, the ability to make good decisions, to still all the monkey mind, to still all the voices shouting in our ear that it ought to be one way or another. Enough, just enough, that a kind of wisdom can arise.
Even the language is challenging.
Yeah.
Because you and I, we both use this language about leadership, and I have a friend who has tremendous financial challenges, has not paid a mortgage for many months, has a child who's very ill, and is facing so much pressure in his life and is such a good person that to say, well, I understand why he is bound up in fear and in control, that there is no room for him to make any more mistakes. And I can understand that there. and I can also understand it on the national scene, both on the left and on the right. I understand why people want to be armed. I understand it. And I also understand that to say you can or can't be armed, or you can or can't, you have to change what you're doing now in order to pay your mortgage, to change everything about yourself. I understand how fundamentally terrifying that is. And the response to it isn't in the known, but it may just be, we may just have access to it through things like Congressman Ryan is suggesting with mindfulness. At least it allows us to be in touch with absolutely new skill sets.
Beautifully said.
I think we've run out of time with that.
And with that, we have to say goodbye, but we thank you all for tuning in. We invite you to keep coming back to Cutting Edge Consciousness. Thanks for listening.